22 Ultimate Things to Do in Boston. Narrowing down what to do in Boston can be a challenge, but while historic sites beckon left and right and shouldn't be missed, there's plenty more to see and do. Bostonians are justifiably proud of their revered Fenway ballpark, their delicious food, their world-class museums like the Museum of Fine Arts, and their outstanding outdoor attractions. Here are some of the ultimate things to do in the hub. Number 1. Walk the Freedom Trail. One of Boston's most famous, not to mention free attractions, is the Freedom Trail, a 2.5-mile line alternately painted red or paved in red brick, which guides visitors to some of the city's most important historic sites. Highlights along the trail, which officially includes 16 sites, are Faneuil Hall, Old North Church, the Paul Revere House, King's Chapel, and the Bunker Hill Monument. Begin a self-guided tour from Boston Common. Sign up for a free guided tour given by the National Park Service at Faneuil Hall, or book a tour with the Freedom Trail Foundation, where 18th century costume guides lead the way. Number 2. Catch a game or take a tour at Fenway. Without a doubt, Boston is a town that takes its sports seriously, very seriously. From the New England Patriots to the Boston Bruins, from the Boston Celtics to the Boston Red Sox, this is a city of superfans. Of all the venues where sporting events are held, though, none can compare to Fenway Park, which locals hold in absolute reverence. The nation's oldest Major League Baseball ballpark, where the Red Sox have played since 1912, seems like a throwback to more innocent days where legendary games have played out over the decades. If you can't make it to a game, excellent tours run year-round and even get you onto the hollow ground of the field. Number 3. Visit the North End, Boston's Little Italy. The North End, often called Boston's Little Italy, almost has an embarrassment of riches for food lovers. And for anyone with a sweet tooth, it's heaven. Practically every storefront in the neighborhood has something to do with food, be it a coffee shop, cafe, gelateria, food store, restaurant, or bakery. You can practically spin in a circle, pick out a restaurant, and dine on delicious Italian fare. For dessert, pick up a cannoli, a classic Italian dessert, a rolled fried pastry shell filled with sweet ricotta cheese. Every local has their favorite spot to recommend, but head to Hanover Street, the main stretch through the neighborhood, to sample two of the most popular, Mike's Pastry at 300 and Modern Pastry Shop at 257. Number 4. Eat a lobster roll. Nothing says New England more than seafood, and nothing says it better or tastier than a lobster roll. Every seafood restaurant from Maine to Massachusetts claims to have the best one. So the only thing to do is to eat as many as you can so you can decide for yourself. Whether you're a purist and only want fresh lobster meat with butter on a hot dog roll, a classic preparation, or you prefer a little mayo and more seasonings, there's a lobster roll for you. Head to Boston's waterfront, where any number of restaurants beckon. From the old school James Hook, which has been selling seafood since 1925, to Legal Harborside, the flagship restaurant of Legal Seafoods, one of Boston's most famous restaurant companies. Number 5. Walk down Acorn Street in Beacon Hill. It is said that Boston's most photographed street is Acorn Street, located in historic and picturesque Beacon Hill. While that may be simply anecdotal, it can't be denied that the charming one-lane cobblestone street, complete with 19th century row houses and gas lamps, looks like it belongs on a movie set. No matter what time of year, it's picture perfect. Gorgeous flowers spill from window boxes in spring and summer, carved pumpkins line the brick steps in fall, and stunning wintergreens frame the houses in winter. Number 6. Take the architecture tour at the Boston Public Library. Most people go to libraries to check out books, and perhaps visiting one is not on the top of your list when you're a tourist. Don't make that mistake in Boston. The magnificent main branch of the city's library system, located in Copley Square, is in an 1895 Renaissance Revival building. Among the treasures hidden behind its doors is a mural series painted by none other than Zhang Singer Sargent on the triumph of religion. Other highlights, all of which are pointed out on a free tour given by the library, include murals depicting the Nine Muses by French artist Puvis du Chavon, at Wing Abbey's mural interpretation of the Holy Grail legend, and Bates Hall, the stunning 218-foot-long main reference reading room with its 50-foot-high barrel arch ceiling. Number 7. Ride a swan boat in the public garden. Boston's public garden, located in Beacon Hill, is America's oldest botanical garden. The 24-acre park boasts beautiful formal plantings, the world's smallest suspension bridge, and its main attraction, an almost 4-acre pond, home to Boston's famous swan boats. Astoundingly, these foot-pedal-powered boats, shaped like giant swans, have piled water of the pond since 1877. No visit to Boston in the warm weather is complete without taking a ride on one. A natural follow-up to a ride is to pay a visit to the Make Way for Ducklings bronze sculptures done by Nancy Shawn as a tribute to the 1941 classic children's story by Robert McCloskey. Number 8. Ice skate on a frog pond in the Boston Common. The winter equivalent to a summer swan boat ride in the public garden is to take a spin on ice skates on the frog pond in the adjacent Boston Common. To ice skate on a pond at night with the golden dome of the State House and twinkling lights in the trees as a backdrop is one for the memory books. The 50-acre park, founded in 1634, is the oldest public park in the United States. Locals grazed their cattle on it until 1830. The frog pond is situated on the site of a former natural pond, which in 1848 was turned into a fountain to celebrate the city's new public water system. Number 9. Spend the day at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. One of the most highly regarded museums in the world, the massive Museum of Fine Arts boasts about 500,000 objects spanning the centuries from ancient Egypt to present-day artwork. The museum officially opened its doors in 1876 with a little over 5,500 objects. What a difference a century plus makes! It's best to make a game plan of what you want to see because tackling the museum in a few hours or even a day is impossible. Highlights include more than 70 works by John Singleton Copley and major paintings by Winslow Homer, John Singer Sargent, and Edward Hopper. Paintings aren't your thing? African masks, Native American pottery, mummies, musical instruments, and practically any other media you can think of have a home at the museum. Number 10. Visit the Boston Tea Party ships and museum. This hands-on interactive museum lets you channel your inner rebel and fakely toss tea overboard in a reenactment of the Boston Tea Party. Exhibits at the museum, which is located on Griffin's Wharf, close to where the actual Tea Party occurred in 1773, include 3D holograms, talking portraits, and replicas of the two of the three ships. Actors clad in colonial period costumes offer commentary and lead you through the museum. If you have time, stop by Abigail's tea room for a cuppa and a great view of the harbor. Number 11. Visit Faneuil Hall. Visitors can be forgiven for thinking that Faneuil Hall Marketplace is Faneuil Hall, but it's not. The marketplace is a complex of buildings which include Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market, North Market, and South Market, all situated around a cobblestone promenade. Restaurants, shops, and buskers make it a lively scene. Faneuil Hall was built in 1742 as a public meeting space and market. The original building burned down in 1761 and was immediately rebuilt. Over the years, many significant speeches took place there, from colonists protesting the Sugar Act in 1764 to George Washington toasting the nation on its first birthday. To this day, Massachusetts politicians hold speeches here. Inside, park rangers offer tours and advice. Visitors can check out dozens of paintings of famous Americans, and there are interactive displays about Boston sights. Number 12. Get out on the Charles River. Besides serving as a watery landmark between Boston and Cambridge, the Charles River offers a wealth of activities on the water, from kayaking to canoeing to splashing down in one of the city's ubiquitous duck boats. You can even ride along a channel of the river in a handcrafted Venetian gondola if you choose. Other activities include learning to sail, stand-up paddleboarding, taking a leisurely riverboat tour, or an architecture tour. Whatever activity you decide, it will definitely give you a different perspective on the city. Number 13. Stroll down Newbury Street in the Back Bay. Whether or not you're a big shopper, Newbury Street, Boston's version of New York's Fifth Avenue, is worth a visit. The 8-block long street is jam-packed with upscale shops, trendy cafes, quirky boutiques, and some of the best people watching around. Park yourself at an outdoor cafe, order a drink, and watch the world go by. Number 14. Visit the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. One of the city's most charming attractions is the small but lovely Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Isabella Stewart, a New York socialite, came to Boston in 1860 to marry John Lowe Gardner, one of Boston's prominent citizens. In short order, Isabella set to building herself a Venetian palazzo to hold her extensive art collection. Just like she was, the collection is eclectic, with masterpieces by Titian, Giotto, and John Singer Sargent, to name a few. Isabella left strict instructions in her will that the building remain exactly as she left it, so visitors today can almost picture her enjoying the gorgeous gardens in her Venetian courtyard or warming her hands by one of the Renaissance hooded fireplaces. Number 15. Eat oyster at the Union Oyster House. Locals like to give it a bad rap, but there's something to be said for this National Historic Landmark, which the National Park Service designated as the oldest continually run restaurant and oyster bar in the United States, and the oldest standing brick building in Boston's Georgian architecture. Before it opened as a restaurant in 1826, it was a private home. Diners over the years include Franklin Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, and William Clinton, as well as governors, athletes, and movie stars. It is highly recommended to follow the example of Danielle Webster, a regular in the 1840s and 1850s, who sat at the Raw Bar and downed oyster with a brandy and water. Make sure to check with the Shuckers, some of whom have worked there for decades. Number 16. head out to the Boston Harbor Islands. Don't miss the chance to hop on a ferry and visit the Boston Harbor Islands, which are just a short ferry ride away from downtown Boston. From May through October, visitors can explore old forts, beaches, hiking trails, and even the nation's oldest continually used light station. Other activities include clam bakes, live music, overnight camping, and more. Georges and Spectacle Islands are the most popular to visit. Georges is home to the Civil War-era Fort Warren, while Spectacle Island, which has served as farmland, a quarantine hospital, a glue factory, a resort, and a landfill, has a beach, miles of trails, and the highest viewing point of any of the islands at 155 feet. Number 17. Walk along the Emerald Necklace. This delightful string of 6 green spaces and parks runs 7 miles from one end of the city to the other. Designed in the late 19th century by landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed New York's Central Park and many other green spaces. The parks are composed of the Back Bay Fence, the Riverway, Olmsted Park, Jamaica Pond, Arnold Arboretum, and Franklin Park. You can walk along shady paths, row on Jamaica Pond, play golf, or visit the zoo at Franklin Park, or just sit under a tree for a breath of fresh air. Number 18. Visit the Institute of Contemporary Art. Along with the cutting-edge art inside its walls, the museum's building itself can be considered a work of art in its own right. The gorgeous glass-walled cantilevered building sits right on the edge of the Boston waterfront, offering breathtaking views both inside and out. Since its inception in 1936, the ICA has been instrumental in identifying or showcasing the most important artists of the day. The museum offers a roster of changing exhibitions, live music and dance performances, film and digital media selections, talks, tours, family activities, and teen programming. Number 19. Step back in time at the Maparium. One of Boston's most unusual attractions, this 3-story stained glass globe located in the Mary Baker Eddy Library, is a stunner. Designed by the architect of the Christian Science Publishing Society building, Chester Lindsay Churchill, the globe depicts the world as it was in 1935, offering a glimpse into another era. Make time to visit the companion exhibit called Maparium, an Inside View, featuring letters, documents, and artifacts detailing the construction, history, and significance of the Maparium. Of special note is the feature of the globe making it into a whispering gallery. If you stand at one end of the gallery while a friend stands at the other and whispers something, you will be the only one to hear it. Number 20. Take a tour of the Massachusetts State House. The golden-domed Massachusetts State House is an iconic sight from the outside, but take a free tour inside to learn all about its history. The land it sits on was originally used as John Hancock's cow pasture. The building was designed by Charles Bulfinch and completed in 1798. And its cornerstone was laid by Samuel Adams in 1795. The copper dome was installed by Paul Revere in 1802. It was later covered in gold. A fun fact is that the State House is home to the sacred cod, which visitors can find in the House of Representatives chamber. A version of the almost 5-foot-long wooden cod, which symbolizes the importance of the salt cod industry to the area, was first installed in the Old State House in 1784. Number 21. Dive into the New England Aquarium. The New England Aquarium is one of the premier visitor attractions in Boston, with over 1.3 million visitors a year and a major public education resources. Colorful, lively, and educational exhibits run all year round. So, if you're a fan of the ocean and its creatures, be sure to check it out. Number 22. Explore the Rose Kennedy Greenway. From the ashes, so to speak, of the Big Dig, one of Boston's longest construction projects, came this 1.5-mile-long park, which traverses several Boston waterfront neighborhoods. The park is packed with amenities and activities, from farmers markets to beer gardens to food trucks to outdoor movie screenings. There's also live music, contemporary exhibits, edible herb gardens, 7 splash fountains, and much, much more. Kids will adore the custom-made New England-centric carousel, which features a seal, a peregrine falcon, a sea turtle, a lobster, a green grasshopper, and a whimsical sea creature instead of the usual 4-legged creatures.